Welcome to r/Pettyrevenge, where no revenge is too small. Our next Reddit post is from Deleted. I was in Los Angeles roaming around the street shopping when I walked past this shoe store. It was more of a stripper shoe joint with all kinds of heels and boots, and I thought that I might check it out. I walked inside, and there were no customers in there. It was totally empty except for the clerk. I found these red boots that I thought were cute, so I asked the store clerk if I could try them on. The clerk was a middle-aged Eastern European woman with a stern look on her face. She was watching a show on her computer, and she got really upset that I even asked her to try the shoes on. Finally, she said okay, and she went in the back and got 2 sizes for me to try on. I tried them on, and I loved them. Meanwhile, she was huffing and puffing behind me, being super impatient. I told her I was going to have to take a walk, think about it, and probably come back and buy them. She was livid. She barked at me, asking why I was wasting her time, grabbed the boots aggressively, and screamed, "What do you need to think about?" I got so mad and I stormed out of the store. She didn't just lose a customer, she was also in for some petty revenge. I was traveling with a group of friends, and I told them what happened, and we made a plan. They all went to the store, and they spent the next hour trying on all the shoes. The guys were trying to squeeze into women's stripper heels, and my girlfriends always gave the clerks the wrong shoe size to try on. The clerk was fuming. After an hour, my friend stopped trying everything on and told her, "We'll think about it," and we stormed out of the store. Our next Reddit post is from Spaceship Guitar. So I threw up my back helping my brother move, and I needed some therapy for about 30 days. The chiropractor I use issues me a plastic card which holds all my personal info so that when I check in, all the information pulls up on the document screen. Somehow, someway, after about 25 visits, I lose my ID card. I show up for the first time without it, and I kindly apologize for losing my ID. The receptionist was way more annoyed than she should be. She was the type that wears their thoughts and emotions on their sleeve. She gave me lots of attitude. She gives a long, deep sigh and rolls her eyes. "Sir, I need $10. "For what?" She smiles. "It's company policy to charge $10 for a replacement card." "But I didn't bring any cash today." Her smile vanished. "I'll check you in today, but bring cash on your next visit, please." She types my name in the computer, which makes me wonder, why do I need the card in the first place? On my second day without my ID, I check in, and it's the same receptionist behind the counter. She looks up and seems to recognize me, but I cut her off. I looked around for my ID at home, but I couldn't find it. Could you check me in again? "That'll be $10 for your replacement card, sir." Oh man, I forgot my money. Now she's seething pissed off, but I don't care. Her attitude has been awful from the start, and I've decided to make it my personal mission to finish out the next 2 remaining days at this place without spending $10 on a worthless replacement card, which I personally know only costs like 40 cents to replace. I also now realize that she has no power over me and she has to let me through because there's no way the doctor's turning down my money. Day 3 without my ID. I walk in the door and we make eye contact. I've never seen her get out of her chair faster. She pokes her head out of that little window as I'm hanging up my coat and she says, "I really hope you brought the $10 today because you're not getting service without it." Yeah, don't worry. I've got the money. Just check me in like you've been doing and I'll pay you when I cash out with my copay after the treatment. She glares at me, closes the window, and says something to the other girl in the office behind her. There's a lot of energy behind her words and I can't hear her, but it's obviously about me. I finish my stupid treatment, come back, hand her the $20 for my copay, and start pretending to search my wallet. She's starting to breathe heavy, anticipating that I'm about to screw her over again, and she's right. I pat my pockets, hold open my wallet, and say, "Oh, shoot, looks like I only brought enough money for the copay." "Sir, that credit card in your wallet will do just fine." "Oh, I never use my credit card unless it's an emergency. Sorry, maybe next time." I can't help but grin while finishing this statement. Her eyes are on fire. She spent the last 20 minutes thinking that she won our little game, and I just flipped the tables at the last second. And there's not a damn thing that she can do about it. I turn around and leave while her eyes are burning holes in my back. The door closes, and I'm cackling and laughing my butt off all the way to my car. My back felt great that day. It was my final visit. They can shove their $10 policy up their butts. Our next Reddit post is from ACP Tex. So, for context, I was selling some clothes in a Facebook group. I was looking to either trade or sell the item of clothing. This guy, let's call him Dick, messages me and asks for a trade. Everything seems fine, so we each send off our items. Weeks pass, and I go to message the guy to say that I haven't received the item, but he's blocked me. I got my girlfriend to message him, and he instantly unblocked me, and he was cocky, saying that he'll return my item if it was that big of a deal. Alright, fine. So I wait, and COVID comes. Then, in August, I remember. He's blocked me again! Again, my girlfriend messages him, and he blocks her. So I had my mom message him, and he apologized and said that he'd pay me at the end of the month. Again, that's fine. At the end of the month, this guy sends me a message. If you message any of my family, I'll get you done up for harassment, and I'll get a non-molestation order against you. For clarity, a non-molestation order is a type of injunction that a victim of domestic abuse can seek against their abuser. I've never even met this guy, so anyways, the message ends with, "Take me to court then." Cue petty revenge. I called so many lawyers over this because the guy only owed me £45 and the lawyers wouldn't take it. So I sent this guy a letter saying that he's gotta pay up or I'll take him to small claims court. He sent my item back after 9 months and said, it was stuck at the post office. I opened it and it was disgusting. It was covered in animal hair and had sweat stains galore over it. I messaged him saying that it was disgusting and he could have it back if he paid, but he replied with, "Guess I'll see you in court, smiley face." So I went through with the small claims. His defense was that he claimed the item of clothing was a gift, and he also said that I abused him over the phone. So I'm pissed at this point. Our court hearing cost me £25, so I was going through with it. I showed up with every piece of evidence I had, every chat log and picture. Throughout all this, I was going ham looking through court documents. I even called up the Royal Mail to ask them questions about post offices and times and shipping. I literally spent all day, every day focusing on this. The day of the online court session arrives and I answer the phone. The judge is lovely and she tries calling him twice, but he doesn't answer. After some back and forth, she is pissed and she says, "Given that I've called the defendant twice and he didn't answer and he hasn't submitted any evidence, I rule in your favor." So I was awarded £95 and my item back. I got the court letter yesterday and yup, it's ruled in my favor and he has 21 days to pay up or I'll be taking it further. Haha, I win. All this over £45. I'm petty and proud. Our next Reddit post is from Sonia says, "This happened back in my college days. I moved in with a friend from university. She was nice enough, but she definitely had financial issues, which I didn't know about before moving in together. Our apartment complex had assigned separate lease agreements because I guess they had too many situations where only one person paid, which made sense. So as a result, I was never liable for her part of the rent. But the utilities had to go in someone's name, and I was the chosen one. So electricity, cable, and internet were all in my name. Things got a bit rough for her, and she was having trouble paying me for half of the utilities. And I was okay with that, so I just covered it all myself. Then, one day, I heard her talking on the phone to her friends about her upcoming spring break trip to the Caribbeans. What the hell, man? You can't pay me, but you can afford to go on vacation and drive a new car? I don't think so. So, I locked her out of the internet. I'm pretty good with computers, so I even kept her boyfriend's phone on the Wi-Fi, but I locked her devices out of the internet. And I just played dumb. I even got a new router. She spent hours on the phone with the internet people. She purchased a new phone, which I allowed to work for a few days, then I shut her out again. Then came the TV. Parental supervision is great. I knew all the shows she liked to watch, so I blacklisted them. I barely watch TV anyway, so I didn't care. At some point I'm talking to the apartment people, and I find out that she's not paying rent either. Again, what the heck? Not cool. Even though that's not my problem, I make it my problem. We had sub-panels for electricity in each apartment, so I screw with her by randomly turning breakers on and off. She couldn't understand why her hairdryer would work one day, but not the next. I would just flick a breaker while she was showering. I convinced her that maybe her dryer was using up too much electricity and she was tripping the breaker. So she bought a fancy new hairdryer. She was actually an idiot and bought a hairdryer that had a higher electrical draw than the first one. So I explained that to her, and she bought a third one. I kept this up until the day that we both moved out. I never saw a penny from her, but man, it was worth it. Our next Reddit post is from Mr. Kerfluffle. One afternoon around 5 p.m., when it's 105 degrees Fahrenheit out, my wife, my in-laws, my 2 kids, and I are in a packed parking lot outside of a little market. There also happens to be a fair going on at the same time. Since there were so many of us, we had to take 2 vehicles. That being said, my mother-in-law is handicapped and has the parking pass that comes along with it. However, there were no open handicap parking spaces available, so I found 2 parking spots, with one being closer than the other. I took the parking spot farther away so they could park as close as possible so they wouldn't have to walk very far. As I parked, a woman got out of the passenger seat of a parked car further down and walked up to the open parking spot and just stood there. My in-laws tried pulling into the parking spot and the woman would not move. So I did the only reasonable thing that you can do in that situation. I stood behind my in-laws' car and in front of the other woman's car, whom the lady was waiting for. She yelled at me to move, so I calmly said, "No, you can't hold that parking spot, she needs to move." She yelled some more and refused to budge. So I did the best thing I could. So I told them I have all day, and I just sat in the middle of the parking lot in front of that car in the blistering heat. After about 2 minutes of me sitting there, the woman trying to hold the parking spot finally moved so my in-laws could park there. Man, my butt was on fire, but it was 100% worth it as she walked away pissed off. And to make matters better, she lost her original parking spot. So I'm pretty sure they had to park a lot further than they were. So in my opinion, if someone steals your parking spot like that, here's a solution. When they get out of the car looking all smug, just roll down your window and say, "Hey buddy, that's a really nice car you have there. I sure hope nobody does anything to it while you're away," and then just drive off. It's such a beautiful solution because you know exactly where their car is parked, but they don't know where you're gonna park, so they can't retaliate. And even if you have zero intention of actually harming their car, they don't know that. So the whole time they're away, they have to worry about what you're gonna do to their car. And when they get back, they have to waste like 5 or 10 minutes circling their car, carefully inspecting it to figure out if you did something to it. On top of that, they'll be so worried that you'll do something to their car that they won't even be able to enjoy the fact that they stole the parking space. In fact, if they're paranoid enough, they might even want to leave and park somewhere else. Our next Reddit post is from Rum Bun Bun. So back around 1999, my husband and I moved to a new city and we had a landline because cell phones weren't widely used at the time. We had caller ID. Late one weeknight, we were startled awake at around 2 a.m. by the phone ringing. Heart pounding, fearing a death in the family or other such tragedy, I anxiously answered. It was an obviously drunk woman asking for Jim. I told her she had the wrong number and hung up. She rang again and argued that this was Jim's number. I told her that it may have been her number once upon a time, but it was my number now and there's no Jim here. It took at least an hour for me to relax enough to get back to sleep, and I was tired at work all the next day. I was annoyed, of course, but these things happen, I got over it. Until it happened again a few nights later. And again a few nights after that, and then a 4th time. After the 4th time, I was no longer annoyed, I was super mad. I couldn't get back to sleep at all. I decided that as long as I was awake, I may as well make good use of my time. I used caller ID to call this woman to remind her that Jim still wasn't at this number. I called her at 3:45 a.m. and again at 4:30 a.m. to remind her that Jim no longer had this phone number. I called her again at 6 a.m. and once more before I left for work at 7 a.m. For the next week, I called each morning when my alarm went off at 5:45 and again before I left for work at 7 a.m. If I woke up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, I'd go ahead and call her since I was already up. Each time, I could tell that I woke her up. It was glorious. I would say, "Don't forget, Jim no longer has the phone number such and such." Then, after a week, I stopped. I never received another call from her either, so I guess my reminders worked. This reminds me, when I changed my cell phone number, I would constantly get phone calls for this guy named Sean. For the most part, I would just ignore it, but every once in a while, I would get angry messages from someone demanding that Sean pay his child support. Eventually, I got sick of it, so I messaged them back. "Hey, you've got the wrong number. This isn't Sean's cell phone number anymore." And they replied, "Nice try, Sean. Now pay up your child support." Eventually, I just blocked the number, but throughout it all, I discovered a great life hack. I got that phone number while I was living in Pennsylvania, and now that I'm living in another state, whenever I see a phone number from Pennsylvania, I know automatically that it's some robo-spammer. Right? Because robocallers always change their phone numbers to make it look like they're calling locally, but they think that I'm in Pennsylvania when I'm not anymore, and I don't know anyone in Pennsylvania, so I can easily screen all of my robocallers. So next time you want to get a new cell phone number, drive over state lines and get a cell phone number over there. That way, whenever you get a phone call with that area code, you know that it's someone that you don't know. Our next Reddit post is from Mug. A couple of years ago, I was in the gym and I overheard this guy warning a girl. He said something to the effect of, "Hey, sorry to bother you, but I just overheard that guy in the red shirt." Then the guy points to my friend who was across the gym, saying some extremely crass stuff about you in the locker room. It was really sexual and graphic, basically talking about ripping off your purple spandex and violating you in front of everyone. I couldn't just listen and not tell you because you deserve to know what certain people are really like. Listening to this, I was furious. This guy had obviously seen my friend talking to this girl and he'd gotten jealous because he wanted to be with her. So he made up this lie to throw my friend under the bus. I know that it was a lie because, first of all, I was just in the locker room and he didn't say anything of the sort. And two, the dude that he was lying about was actually a really nice, respectful guy. So he finished up his tall tale, and before the girl could respond, I scoffed really loudly and said, "She knows you're lying just to try to get in her pants. That guy you're talking about would never say those kinds of things about her because she's his sister, you moron." The look on this guy's face was priceless. He went pale and stammered something about how he must have gotten the guy mixed up. But the girl, who had caught on and was playing along, pointed out how he had been very clear about pointing her so-called brother out. So this douchebag shifted his story again and said that he must have gotten the girl he was talking about mixed up. So then I pointed out that she was the only girl in the gym wearing purple spandex. That was r/Pettyrevenge, and if you like this content, check out my Patreon where I publish extra episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.